Hello friends, today in this lecture I am going to discuss another important subtopic in this electromagnetic induction, that is transformer. So this transformer is a very special type of device which is used in alternating current applications. Okay, now what is the meaning of word transformer? You know the meaning of a transformation. Okay, transformation. Okay, so transformation means what? We have to change only the strength of the signal, or we have to change only the magnitude of the signal. Strength is actually not proper word here because strength related with power. We have to change the magnitude of the voltage, obviously alternating voltage, clear, from one value to another value. So basically why these transformers are required, that first we have to discuss now. You know that in power generation, basically power is generated which is AC power. In domestic appliances or in domestic supply in your home is the AC supply of 230 volt single phase AC. So actually if you observe that 230 volt voltage which is you are utilizing in your home is actually not generated as a 230 volt. It is generated at 11,000 volt or 11 kV, 11,000 volt. So such large voltages are more desirable in AC because they can be transmitted over long distance, because the power is generated at the power station or power plant which is very far from your house. So whatever voltage you are using in your home which is 230 volt is actually not 230 volt when it is generated. That time that voltage was 11,000 volt. So for long distance transmission of power, AC power, that voltages should be of very high value, so that generation of the power, electricity or electrical power is taken place at very high voltage level, and they can be transmitted over the long distance. And then whenever it comes to the substation, at the substation, now the voltage should be converted into 230 volt, and this particular process is done by a device called as transformer. That's why transformer is important in AC power generation and application or power processing, because whenever you want to convert one AC voltage to another AC voltage, then transformers are useful. Clear why transformers are useful in AC power generation? Okay, clear? Yes. Now listen here. So a device, I am giving you the definition of transformer. A device which is used for changing an alternating voltage from one value to another value. Okay, to change an alternating voltage from one value to another value is called as what? Transformer. Clear? Now there may be two possibilities in this case. First is what? Either you have to change low voltage to high voltage, or you have to change high voltage to low voltage. Clear? So this is a device which is called as what? Transformer. Clear? So transformer transforms voltage, but transformer transfers power. Important point. Transformer transforms, okay, it transforms voltage, but it transfers power. Okay, transformation and transfer, different things. Transformation means you have to make change in only its value without changing the nature. Clear? Means you have only information is same, but you have to increase its magnitude. Whereas transfer means you have to send the thing as it is without any modification in its nature as well as its magnitude. So there means unalteration in the magnitude as well as nature of any signal, and if that signal is passed from one point to another point, it is called transfer of signal. So it means if this is a transfer of power in case of transformer, so in transformer power does not change, power remains the same. So input power to the transformer is equal to output power of the transformer, provided that transformer is ideal. We will discuss it, what is ideal transformer. Clear? Okay. So important point, it transforms voltage, transfers power. So this transformer is used for changing the voltage from one value to another value. Clear? So this is a basic definition of transformer. Okay, and this transformer is always used with AC voltage. Clear? This transformer is always used with AC voltage and AC current. You cannot use the transformer use it with DC voltage. Why? We will discuss it. Clear? So these are the basic facts and information about transformer. Clear? Okay. Now, what is the working principle on which transformer works? This transformer works on the principle of mutual induction, which we have studied in the previous lecture. Transformer works on the principle of mutual induction. Clear? Okay. It means now, if we now try to study the construction of transformer, definitely if it works on the principle of mutual induction, it means there should be more than one coil, because mutual inductance phenomena is applicable when there are more than one coil. Clear? Okay. So this is a construction of transformer. If you observe how to write it in your exam, listen here, there is no any important big deal here. Transformer, it consists of actually an iron core. This is called as iron core. I will tell you what is the function of iron core. So it consists of iron core, soft iron core, then two windings which are made up of copper. Actually these are the coils, and these coils are wounded in the form of windings, so it forms winding. So these two windings which are made up of copper conductor, and they are insulated from each other. Okay, so how they can be insulated from each other? Because they are wound on a soft iron core, so directly they are not connected with each other. This particular winding is not connected with second winding. They are wound on a common iron core, so that iron core is common for both the windings, but actually there is no direct connection between two windings. Clear? Okay. Now listen here. In case of transformer, the winding which is connected to the external energy or supply, this is AC voltage, no? This is AC voltage. The winding or the coil which is connected to the AC voltage or external energy source, that coil or winding is called as primary winding. Primary, as I already discussed with you in the mutual induction concept. The winding or coil which is directly connected to external AC voltage source is called as primary winding, and the winding which is connected to external load. Okay, if you connect here load means anything, bulb or speaker, anything. So that load connected to the winding, that winding is called as secondary winding. Clear? Okay. Now listen here. As the primary winding, now I am using the word primary winding, as the primary winding is connected to the AC voltage, so definitely there will be flow of current in that winding, and that current is called as primary current in the transformer. The current which is flowing through the primary winding of transformer is called as primary current. Clear? And the current which is flowing from the secondary winding or the second coil of the transformer is called as what? Secondary current, provided load should be connected to it. If load is not connected to secondary winding, in that case secondary current is zero, because current does not flow through open circuit. Clear? Okay, so up till now I have discussed with you construction of transformer. Common, it consists of soft iron core on which two windings are wound on a common soft iron core. These two windings are made up of copper and they are insulated from each other. The winding which is connected to the AC voltage source, it is called as primary winding, and the winding which is connected to external load, it is called as secondary winding. Current which is flowing through the primary winding is called primary current, and current which is flowing from secondary winding is called as secondary current. Clear? Okay. Now listen here. This is a construction of transformer. Okay. Now this soft iron core has some important function to perform in the transformer. What that function is? It provides the path for the flow of magnetic flux. Soft iron core provides the path for the flow of magnetic flux in case of transformer. Clear? Okay. Now we are going to discuss the working of transformer, how it actually works when AC voltage is applied to the primary winding. Listen here now. When AC voltage is applied to this transformer and that AC voltage is applied to primary winding, definitely current starts flowing through that primary winding. As the AC voltage is changing with time, definitely current also changes with time. So current through the primary winding also changes. As current through the primary winding changes, first of all, as current, when the current is flows through an conductor or coil or wire, the magnetic field is created around that conductor or coil. Now as magnetic field is created around that conductor, magnetic flux is produced in that particular coil. Now if the current is changing, so due to changing current, the flux also changing, and in the transformer I already discussed with you, current is AC which is changing, that's why the flux is also changing. So as the flux is changing, which links with this primary coil, so definitely as per Faraday's law, EMF is induced in the primary coil. EMF is induced in a primary coil. Now as this flux passes through the iron core, because iron core is a magnetic material, and due to the magnetic material, magnetic properties, it possesses more permeability. It means it give more permission to the flow of flux through that particular iron core. That's why that flux passes through that core and it goes towards the secondary coil. That's why I have shown here dotted lines. It indicates path of the flux flow inside the magnetic core of the transformer. Clear? Now, as this flux move towards secondary coil, it links with secondary coil, and when it links with secondary coil, what happens actually? There will be EMF induced in a secondary coil also, as per the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Clear? So in this way, in the secondary coil, the EMF is induced, but actually you have connected the supply to primary coil. That's why this transformer works on mutual inductance concept. Clear? Okay. Now one important point. This is a basic working of transformer. Now one may ask the question, how the voltage is transformed in transformer? Listen here. These are all dependent on number of turns of the windings. Because as I already discussed with you, the self-inductance of a coil is directly proportional to square of the number of turns of that coil. So suppose if the primary winding is having more number of turns than secondary winding, it means the self-inductance of primary winding is more. If self-inductance of primary winding is more, definitely EMF induced in that winding is also more. Why? Because as you know that E is equal to L into di upon dt. So as this L increases, why? Because N increases, so definitely E also increases. So definitely EMF induced in this winding increases, and the number of turns in the secondary coil are less. So EMF induced in these windings are less. It means what? this EMF is more, this EMF is less. So that's why we have transformed high voltage to low voltage. Clear? Suppose if number of turns of primary is less and number of turns of secondary are more, then EMF induced in the primary is less, because self inductance of primary is now low because number of turns are less. So self inductance of secondary winding is now more, so that EMF induced in the secondary winding is more. So in this way we can transform one voltage to another by adjusting the number of turns of what? Primary and secondary winding. Clear? So in this way we can convert one voltage to another voltage using transformer. And as the EMF is induced in the secondary winding, if we connect a load to the secondary winding, then current starts flowing through that load. Clear? So this is the way to, what we can say, or this is the approach of the transformer working. Clear? Now one important point here. Why transformer is not connected on DC supply voltage? Suppose I connected DC battery to the primary winding, DC 5, 10, 20 volt. What happens? If the voltage is DC, it means constant. DC voltage is the voltage, it does not changes in direction. It possesses constant value for all time. If it possesses constant value for all time, definitely current also constant for all time. If current is constant for all time, definitely flux is also constant. It means flux does not changing. It means phi is constant. So d phi by dt is 0 according to Faraday's law, because flux in Faraday's law flux has to be changed. But for DC current, flux does not change. Flux is constant. That's why the EMF induced in a primary winding is 0. That's why what happens, that winding gets short circuited and winding will burn out. So if you connect a transformer to DC voltage, transformer will burn out. So that's why transformer never operates on DC, because flux is constant for DC as the current is constant. Clear? So this is the reason why the transformers are never connected to DC supply. Clear? Another important point. If this transformer converts low voltage to high voltage, then that transformer is called as step up transformer. I will give you in the derivation, don't worry, but for time being you will remember it. When the transformer converts low voltage to high voltage, it is called as step up transformer, and when transformer converts high voltage to low voltage, that time it is called as step down transformer. So step up, step down, it means suddenly increase and or decrease in the value of the voltage. Clear? Clear? Okay, so in this way the transformer works. Another important point, transformer transfers power. Transfers power, transforms voltage. It means what? If it is changing low voltage to high voltage, clear? It means if I want input power is equal to output power of transformer, in that case power is what? It is the product of voltage and current. It means what? If voltage is increasing from low to high, definitely current in this side should be low, because in this side voltage has been increased, so current has to decrease to maintain constant power. That's why in the transformer there is a transfer of power. Power remains constant, input power is equal to output power, but voltage is transforms. So this is a working of transformer. Now I am going to discuss the important derivation of transformation ratio in case of transformer. As I already discussed with you the working construction of transformer. Now this is a common structure of transformer, in which this is a iron core, and this iron core which acts as a magnetic material, and it provides the path for the flow of magnetic flux from primary winding to secondary winding. Then the two windings which are insulated from each other, and these two windings are made of copper, and the winding which is connected to the external energy source is called a primary winding, and the winding which is connected to the load is called as secondary winding. Clear? Let some terms that we have assumed in this derivation are: phi is the magnetic flux link with both the coils, and this phi is flux per turn, means for each turn the flux link with that turn is phi. So for n turns it is n phi, clear, and that phi is the flux so link with both the coils, primary as well as secondary. Then np is number of turns in the primary coil, ns number of turns in the secondary coil, ip is the primary current and is the secondary current, clear. Okay, now magnetic flux link with the primary coil is phi p and magnetic flux link with the secondary coil is phi s. So phi p is equal to np into phi and phi s is equal to ns into phi. Now listen here, there may be some confusion. Phi p is the flux link with primary, phi s is the flux link with secondary. Then why should I written here phi only? Because I already explained you phi is the flux link with both the coils. So that's why I am writing here phi p is equal to np into phi and phi s is equal to ns into phi, clear. Okay, now as we know that in EMI, electromagnetic induction, we require to apply what? Faraday's law. So if we want to apply the Faraday's law, so definitely we want to first determine the flux. That flux is equal to what? Np into phi and ns into phi. Now to apply the Faraday's law, that flux has to be changed. There should be rate of change of flux. So that's why EMF induced in the primary and secondary winding is given by what? EP is the EMF induced in a primary winding and ES is the EMF induced in a secondary winding. So EP is equal to minus d phi p by dt, rate of change of flux, where phi p is equal to np into phi. So EP is equal to minus np d phi by dt and ES is equal to minus d phi s by dt, which is equal to minus ns d phi by dt. So this EP is equal to np d phi by dt, ES is equal to ns d phi by dt, because this is associated with primary and secondary coil, clear. Okay, so if I take the ratio of suppose 4 to 3, so what I am getting here? ES by EP is equal to ns by np, where ns upon np it's called as turns ratio of transformer. This is called as what? Turns ratio of transformer, ns upon np. Now listen here, for ideal transformer, now one important, what is meant by ideal transformer? Ideal transformer is the transformer in which the losses are zero, negligible losses are present. Now one question may be arise, what are the various types of losses in transformer? Basically in case of transformer, there are two types of losses are associated with the transformer. First is called as eddy current loss and second one is called as hysteresis loss, clear. So eddy current loss and hysteresis loss, these are the losses associated with transformer, clear. Now also there are another like copper loss or iron loss, these are the losses. So basically this copper loss and iron loss are the constant losses in transformer and this eddy current and hysteresis loss is the variable losses in transformer, clear. So if these all losses are absent or negligible, then input power is equal to output power, because if the losses are present then definitely power is lost. So for ideal transformer is the transformer in which power loss is negligible, clear. Okay, so for ideal transformer input power is equal to output power. Now what is input power? Input power is input EMF into input current. Input current is nothing but primary current IP, input EMF is nothing but EP. That's why EP into IP is equal to ES into IS. Why? Because ES is the secondary induced EMF and IS is the secondary current. So this is the actually input power is equal to output power. Now listen here. So if I take the ratio, then I am getting ES by EP is equal to NS by NP is equal to IP by IS is equal to K, and this is called as what? Transformation ratio, clear. So this, using this equation or this transformation ratio, you can find out any unknown quantity, unknown variable in case of transformer. So in the numericals you have been provided with either of these two quantity, either secondary EMF, primary EMF or primary current, and you have to calculate secondary current. If primary turns are provided, you have to calculate secondary turns. Likewise any quantity can be calculated from this transformation ratio, provided that transformer should be ideal. If transformer is not ideal, you cannot directly apply this formula. Suppose you have been given in the problem transformer is 80% efficient. Efficiency of transformer is 80%. In that case, output side you have to take 80% of input power. You directly cannot take this formula now. You have to take EPIP is equal to ESIS, but here you have to write 80% of EPIP is equal to ESIS. It means 0.8 times EPIP is equal to ESIS. Why? Because now efficiency is not 100%. Only 80% of input power, 80% of this input power is transferring towards output side. So only that, for that power you have to calculate the output current. If you directly use this formula, transformation ratio equation, then you will be calculating for 100% power, which is for ideal transformer. Clear? So that point has to be remembered. Okay? Yes. Now there are two cases. Suppose in this transformation ratio, if this NS is greater than NP, in that case what happens? If NS is greater than NP, then ES is greater than EP. It means if NS is greater than NP, then ES is greater than EP. It means this, in this case, secondary induced EMF is greater than primary induced EMF. It means it is called as step up transformer. Step up transformer is the transformer which increases the magnitude of the input voltage. Clear? And when NP is greater than NS, it means number of primary turns is greater than the number of secondary turns. In that case, EP is greater than ES. So that transformer is called as step down transformer. Why? Because as NP is greater than NS, so primary induced EMF is greater than secondary induced EMF. So definitely the transformer which converts high input voltage to low input voltage, low output voltage, is called as step down transformer. So in our regular, means in substations, whatever transformer we are using, that is a step down transformer, because we have to convert high voltage of 11,000 volt into low voltage. Clear? So in the practical purpose we are using step down transformer. So in this way we have studied the derivation regarding to transformer, in which we calculated transformation ratio, because this is an important formula in case of transformer. Clear? Okay. Now I am going to discuss another important derivation in case of transformer, that is transformer EMF equation. It is easy derivation actually. Application of Faraday's law. As we know that EMF developed in the primary winding of transformer is EP, and EMF induced in the secondary winding of transformer is ES. IP is the primary current, IS is the secondary current, NP number of turns in the primary, NS number of turns in the secondary. Okay? Clear. Now to derive the derivation of transformer, you have to study two important waveforms. Waveforms means whenever I am applying AC voltage to this particular transformer, that time what will happen? That AC means time varying, so is alternates its direction continuously. So this is a waveform of input voltage versus time, this waveform, in which magnitude of the voltage goes on increasing with time, and it reaches to maximum value at t is equal to t by 4, or it is called as quarter half cycle. Clear? Quarter half cycle means total cycle time period is t, so it's 1/4 the time, that is t by 4. So it is quarter half cycle. Okay, so it is quarter cycles. Okay, because it is actually half cycle, again half cycle, so it is complete cycle. So 1/4 of cycle will give me what? Time what? T by 4. So at t is equal to capital T by 4, I am getting maximum value of EMF. As the particular input current or input voltage is time changing, or it is time dependent, or it is AC, definitely due to that time varying current, the flux produced in the core of the transformer is also time varying. So flux variations are also same as that of voltage variations. So this is a waveform of flux variation versus time. This is a graph of flux versus time, and that flux is in the core of the transformer. Clear? As time progresses, then flux goes on increasing, and at a time is equal to capital T by 4, flux reaches to the maximum value, and that maximum value of flux is phi m. Clear? Now important point here. The flux developed in the core of the transformer is phi m, which is the maximum value of the flux, and the maximum value of the flux which is developed in the core of the transformer at small t is equal to capital T by 4. So corresponding to that maximum flux developed in the core, there should be maximum EMF, or EMF is induced because initially flux was 0 and it is now going to phi m. So maximum change. That's why I am getting maximum EMF in the secondary winding because, or any winding, because Faraday's law. Clear? So this is actually the purpose of drawing this waveform. We have to determine at what time small t we are getting maximum value of flux, and that time is equal to capital T by 4, where capital T is the time period. Time required to complete one cycle. So the maximum flux in the core is what? Phi. Clear? Now we say. Now we are interested to calculate what I am interested to calculate rate of change of flux. So rate of change of flux in the core of the transformer, which is the average value of flux. Rate of change of flux is nothing but it is the average value of EMF. Okay, so rate of change of flux in the core of the transformer will give me EMF, but that EMF is the average value of EMF. Clear? Okay. So that's why our rate of change is d phi by dt. Actually, what is the change from here to here in the flux? It is 0, it is phi. So final minus initial. So phi m minus 0 upon, at this particular phi m, what is time? Capital T by 4 minus 0. So it is T by 4 minus 0. So this is phi m upon T by 4, which is equal to what? 4 phi m upon capital T. But we know that 1 upon T, reciprocal of time period, gives the frequency of input signal. That's why it is what? 4 phi m into f. So this particular d phi by dt is what? 4f phi m, where f is frequency, phi m is maximum flux in the core. But this is the average value of EMF, and this d phi by dt is nothing but E according to Faraday's law. So that's why I am getting d phi by dt is equal to 4f into phi m, which is actually equal to what? E as per the Faraday's law. But this induced EMF in the coils of transformer is average value of EMF. And we know that in our domestic appliances we require RMS because by default values are RMS. We will discuss it when we discuss alternating current chapter, which is a chapter after this topic chapter only. So don't worry about it. But for time being, you remember in domestic AC appliances, the by default voltages are RMS voltage, root mean square value of voltages. We will discuss it. Okay. So this is the average value, we require RMS value. So to get the RMS value of EMF from average value of EMF, there is one factor that is involved, that is form factor. This is called as what? FF, form factor. So form factor is equal to RMS value upon average value. It may be RMS value of voltage upon average value of voltage, or RMS value of current upon average value of current. So form factor FF is ratio of RMS value to average value. Now listen here. What is form factor? 1.11. From where this value will come? Actually, this value is standardized value for this sine wave. Form factor is 1.11. For sine wave, form factor is 1.11. You have to remember this. So 1.11 is equal to EP RMS upon EP average. That's why EP RMS is equal to 1.11 into EP average is what? 4f phi m. So into 4f phi m. So 1.11 into 4 is what? 4.44. That's why I am getting EP RMS is equal to 4.44 into phi m into f. Okay, 4.44 into phi m into f. This is for one turn of coil. If there are n turns, then 4.44 into phi m into f into n. If it is an EMF induced in a primary winding, then EP, then in that case EP is equal to 4.44 into f into phi m into NP, because number of turns in the primary winding. Then for ES RMS is 4.44 into f into phi m into NS, where NS is the number of turns in the secondary winding. It means as this number of turns increases, induced EMF also increases. That's why this is all depending on the number of turns, the voltage can be increased or decreased. Clear? So this is the EMF equation of transformer. Actually, what is the standard formula for EMF equation of transformer? Clear? So EP RMS is 4.44 F phi m NP and ES RMS is 4.44 F phi m NS. Clear? So this is the EMF equation of transformer. If you take ratio EP upon ES, then you are getting what? EP upon ES is equal to NP upon NS, where this 4.44 F phi m will cancel out. Clear? So from these equations only we are getting that transformation ratio that already in this lecture only we have given. Clear? So what is the EMF equation of transformer? EP is 4.44 F into phi m into NP and ES is equal to 4.44 F into phi m into NS, where phi m is the maximum value of flux in the core and NP and NS are the primary and secondary terms of the primary and secondary windings. Okay, so this is the EMF equation of transformer. This AD current is one of the important topic, and actually this is a disadvantage of transformer. That's why I took this topic after the transformer, because we have studied transformer in previous lecture. So what is meant by AD current and what is the meaning of word AD? Actually AD currents are also called as Foucault current, because this Foucault scientist is a French scientist who had given this concept of AD current. That's why these currents are also called as Foucault current. Clear? So basically AD current means what? Suppose there is a metal block, solid metal block is present, and if that solid metal block is exposed to the magnetic field, and that magnetic field is time varying. So whenever the solid metal plate or metal block is subjected to changing magnetic field, so definitely, as you know that in case of conductor, if it is placed in magnetic field, then the magnetic field is created around that conductor. If that conductor is carrying current, then that current carrying conductor suppose is placed, then the magnetic field is present around the conductor. But this is as per the Oersted. Now this is a reverse case. Now in this case magnetic field is present, and in that magnetic field you are trying to keep the solid metal block, and solid metal block consists of large number of electrons. So as this solid metal block is subjected to changing magnetic field, so definitely what will happen, due to that exposure of the metal block to the changing magnetic field, that metal block experiences the change in field, and due to Faraday's law, what will happen, these metal in the free electrons inside the metal block will tries to form a closed loop, and they will follow free path, and it gives rise to a current. That current is called as AD current, and this observation is given by Foucault scientist. So these currents are also called as Foucault current. Clear? Okay. Now another important point. When loop or metal block is subjected to magnetic field, AD current is produced. Now this AD current is because of the relative motion between the conductor and magnetic field. Due to relative motion between conductor and magnetic field, as the magnetic field is stationary, as the conductor is stationary but field is moving, field is dynamic, so that current is induced, and due to that particular induced current in the plate, actually this plate consists of large number of electrons which are charge carriers. As the charge carriers is present in the field, which is magnetic field, and due to that they experiences a force, and that force is actually I have already given you QVB. It is a force experienced by the conductor, force experienced by the charge when it is moving in a magnetic field and that conductor is moving. Okay, it means what? In that case, that particular charge will experiences a force. Clear? So to experience the force of this magnitude QVB, there must be three conditions. First, that particular particle or object should be charged. Second, that should be placed in magnetic field. Third, that object should be moving. It should not be stationary. That's why here written relative motion between conductor and field. So motion should be there, otherwise there should not be force. So that force has been encountered due to which work has to be done. Definitely, as the EMF is induced in a conductor when it is placed in changing magnetic field. Now this conductor is, in this case, this is a metal block. I am discussing about this diagram. This particular metal block in which field is inward, and when this field is inward and this particular plate is inserted into this particular field. This is a field area, and into that field area I have inserted what? Conducting plate. So whenever I am moving this plate, that time there is a relative motion between field and conductor, and due to which what will happen? Current is induced in the form of loop, and that particular loop is called as eddy current loop, because as per the Fleming's right hand rule, VBI, that will give you a direction of induced current. Fleming's right hand rule, what it gives? Suppose this, in this case, this gives motion of conductor, then this finger give magnetic field, and this is I. So field is inward, then field is inward, motion of conductor, and this particular finger indicates direction of induced EMF, that is current, because it is closed path. That's why current is induced. That's why I have shown current direction is downward arrow, which is what? Clockwise. Clear? Why current is clockwise? This is a metal block, this is a field, this field is inward. Once again I am repeating, this is a magnetic field which is inward, this is a metal block, okay, because metal block is also present here. That's why I am saying this is a metal block, and this is a field. Inside the field, metal block is inserted, so there will be relative motion between field and metal block, and due to which what happens? There is a EMF induced as per the motional EMF concept. Recall that concept. And since that particular conducting plate is formed closed loop, due to which what happens? There will be current flowing through that particular loop. But it has been observed that when, this is an important differentiating point from motional EMF and this eddy current concept. If you observe, in case of motional EMF, we already told that field which was present, that field was uniform field. It was steady field, constant field. But here the field is what? Time varying. It is changing, non-uniform field. So whenever a conductor is exposed to non-uniform field, that time that current does not follow the closed loop. Okay, so there should be something different happen. So what different thing which is happen? Now we will discuss it. So that's why the opposing force which has been encountered, definitely, because when EMF is induced in this conductor, motional EMF, that time that current which is flowing, that opposes the cause which is responsible for the production, and therefore there should be work to be done, or work is required to be done to overcome that opposition. Clear? Okay. Now, as this metal plate is a metal, so there are a large number of free electrons are present inside the metal, though these electrons are conduction electrons. That conduction electrons does not follow one path. It means that particular current does not flow in one path, because field is time varying, field is changing. We are exposing that metal plate to time varying magnetic field, and due to which what happens? These particular conduction electron swirl within the plate. Swirl means these electrons will form such kind of small groups. These will swirl, okay, like small flies, okay, when they are waving on the water, or when they are when they are going on the top of the water. In that case, we will observe that swirl of that small insects or flies. Clear? So that's why these particular conduction electrons swirl within the plate. So within the plate they will form such kind of small groups. Actually it is a group of electrons. So group of electrons, which electrons? Conduction electrons, when they swirl within the plate, and it looks like that I have told you that eddies or that insects, that is caught inside the water, because from observer perspective he feels that insects are trapped inside the water, because they are very they are placed very closely to the water, actually on the surface of water. If this is the water, they are placed on the surface of water. This is what placed on just on the surface, so it look like the eddies caught in water. And these particular electrons which are swirl within the plate and it looks like eddies caught in water, these will give rise to a current called as eddy current or Foucault current. Clear? So eddy current is the concept arises when the solid metal block is subjected to time varying magnetic field or flux. That time conduction electron looks like eddies caught in water and they swirl within the plate. That does not form a closed loop and gives rise to a current called as eddy current or Foucault current. Clear? Okay. These eddy current is not actually desirable because it generates heat. Okay, it generates heat and that particular heat is utilized in induction furnace. It is actually useful application, but it is undesirable in case of transformer, because due to that eddy current which is flowing through that metal block. Now in case of transformer, that metal block means actually soft iron core, that already we have discussed. That soft iron core which was present, okay, this is a core, and if that core is made up of solid metal or it is a thick metal, then definitely it possesses some resistance, and due to that current flowing through that resistive material, it gives rise to power loss inside the transformer. That's why the core of the transformer is laminated. It is made up of stampings of small thin sheets of that iron. It is not continuous block. Clear? So it means eddy current loss, power loss is inversely proportional to resistivity. If resistivity is more, eddy current loss is less. If resistivity is less, eddy current loss is more. So if resistance is more, it means definitely what will happen? Area of cross section of that metal plate will decreases, because R is proportional to rho L by A. Okay, it means what? This area of cross section and resistance are inversely proportional to each other. It means if area of cross section has to be decreased, then that metal plate should be thin, it should be sliced, it should be stamped, or it should be laminated. That's why the core of the transformer is made up of stampings. It is not continuous block of metal, of iron metal. Clear? This is the reason to reduce the resistivity. Clear? Okay. Now it means there will be the conversion of mechanical energy into heat energy. I have already discussed, and that heat energy is undesirable in transformer. Clear? That's why it gives rise to which loss? Eddy current loss. And eddy current, if we want to minimize the eddy current, or we want to remove that drawback of eddy current in case of transformer, then definitely I already discussed, we have to make the core of the transformer which is laminated. It is made up of stampings. And one important point, to minimize the eddy current loss, we have to use discontinuous structure rather than continuous structure. It means what? We don't want to use the metal strips which are solid, which are thick. We have to use thin stampings. So look like here, we don't want to use such kind of metal block, rather than we are using such small strips, so that eddy current is reduced. That's why here written reduction in eddy current, because of discontinuities in the structure. As there is a discontinuity in the structure, what will happen? There will not be the closed loop, because area of cross section will decreases, and due to which eddy current also reduces. Clear? So that's why we have to use such discontinuous structure rather than this, to minimize the eddy current loss. Clear? Similarly, this is a conductor, this is a pivot which is fixed at one place, and this, if we try to rotate this conductor in a field, definitely what will happen, this conduction electron will give rise to eddy current. So these are the different cases of eddy current. Clear? So this is about the eddy current in solid plate, and this eddy current gives rise to eddy current loss in case of your transformer. That's why eddy current loss is minimized in case of transformer using the laminated core, and that core is in the form of stamping. It is not continuous in structure. Clear? Okay. So in this lecture we discuss the concept of eddy current, which is related with the transformer. So we completed it after covering of transformer topic. So in this way we have completed our chapter electromagnetic induction. It is a big chapter. We have covered in this chapter, we discuss what? We discuss Faraday's law, we discuss Lenz's law, then we discuss flux rule, flux of field, then we discuss what? We discuss the concept of motional EMF in different cases, back EMF, back torque, AC generator. Okay, then we discuss what? After AC generator we have discussed self inductance concept, mutual inductance concept, then we discuss what? Transformer, and after the transformer we discuss eddy current. So in this way we have completed this chapter, that is electromagnetic induction. So be careful about this chapter. It is not that much easy chapter, but you have to prepare it in systematic manner. Prepare the notes from the this point, with the help of this point from the board for all topics. Revise it, re-revise it, so that it becomes easy to understand it, because this chapter has more weightage in competitive exam, as well as if you understand this chapter carefully, then only you can easily understand the next chapter, that is alternating current. So prepare well for this chapter, as well as try to correlate the previous concept, okay, which we have studied, so that it will be useful for our next chapter. Thank you.